Hi everyone, welcome back. I wasn't planning on making this video, to be honest. In my last video, I believe it was last Thursday or last Friday, I talked about why I do not see the point in having the solo countdown mode or the normal difficulty mode, whatever it is you want to call it, after giving various reasons as to why the challenging mode with matchmaking is just a much superior option. You get more loot, you can almost guarantee a completed run on every turn, you can run pretty much whatever build that you want, and there are many other reasons, so I'd highly recommend you go check that video out if you're watching this one first. Watch that one first. What I didn't anticipate was quite a lot of pushback, but in a positive way. I expected some people to disagree with me, as everyone has a different perspective, everyone plays the game differently, and that's a good thing, but I did want to go over some of the common replies. I think that my video may have been misconstrued by some of these people, and I'm going to happily concede some things, but overall I still don't see the point in this solo mode for everyone, not just me. So this isn't a personal thing, this is me saying that I don't think it's for pretty much everyone. No one really is going to get any benefit out of this mode. What is great is this is an open dialogue, and I feel it's very important that we keep this kind of discussion up with all of the topics surrounding this game to ensure the best possible outcomes. With that said, drop a like and subscribe to stay up to date with all my videos. Let's begin. So firstly, one of the most common comments was that with the solo mode, instead of going all the way to the extraction, why don't you just drop into the game, kill the free hunters, grab their loot and keys, then dip. Rinse and repeat. Now, I assume this was in response to me saying how difficult it would be to complete all objectives within the 15-minute window if you don't run a run and gun build and you don't stick to running from one objective to the next objective. Well, in my response to this comment, you absolutely could do this. And actually, it's quite likely this would be more lucrative than running challenging or matchmaking. It would certainly seem better for hunter tags, possibly loot as well. I've never tested it, so I don't know this for sure, but it's possible it's better than doing challenging with matchmaking. With that said, in my video I was comparing the solo mode experience 1-to-1 against the challenging mode experience, as I wouldn't normally join challenging, kill hunters then dip like some people do. You know, I'd go all the way through. I didn't do that with a solo mode either. So whilst I understand the comment and could possibly agree with you, that's not what I was trying to answer in my video. So I hope that kind of makes sense there. Another comment I saw frequently was that my opinion on this normal solo mode was based on my own kind of selfish perspective. I said the solo mode, if played how it should be played, i.e. from start to finish, extraction and all, was not lucrative in comparison to the challenging mode. That is my opinion, of course, but I'm not saying that it's not lucrative for me. I don't see it being lucrative for anyone playing this mode solo. Not in a group, not killing hunters then dipping out, playing it solo from start to finish how Massive intended it to be played. Oh, and by the way, Massive will be adding a system to stop players from joining groups, killing hunters, then dropping out. So don't be surprised if this also gets added to the normal mode, even when you're playing solo. So you might not have a choice but to actually play this normal mode on solo from beginning to end. Hence why I made my video comparing the solo experience in this mode to the current challenging experience all the way through. So hopefully, again, that explains my previous comments to the other previous comment. I think that makes sense. Anyway, back to it being lucrative. This is not some selfish opinion. I honestly can't see the point in playing this difficulty on solo if you're looking to get as much loot, XP and hunter keys as possible when you are very restricted on the builds that you can use. You basically cannot stop between objectives, and you have to run from one to the other pretty much the whole way through. You basically don't have time to do all of the objectives and take out all 3 hunters in 15 minutes. And the extraction is pretty difficult when using a DPS run and gun build, a build that is optimal to complete the objectives within the time limit. So what you basically have to do is use that run and gun build until you get to the extraction, and then you have to change over builds if you can to something that's going to be better for that extraction. That's not something you have to do on challenging, by the way. That's just something you have to do in this mode to beat it optimally. On challenging and matchmaking, you do get more loot. You get more hunter tags. It's much easier. Generally speaking, it is much easier in a group of 8 people. You can run a wide variety of builds because other people will compensate for the build that you're running most of the time. And you're almost guaranteed an extraction on every single run. Now, that's not an opinion. That is a fact. If you run 100 countdowns on challenging with matchmaking in a group of 8 people, I can almost guarantee you that 90 to 95% of those runs you are going to complete. Whereas on solo mode in the normal experience on the PTS, I mean, on the first run that I didn't do it, and I reckon it's going to be far lower than that 90 to 95% overall for most people. So I'm sorry, but I do completely disagree with anyone who says that solo mode is more lucrative than challenging mode. It's just not. Now, there is a caveat, of course. You can play solo mode or normal mode in a group. I saw some comments saying this is perfect for new players trying the mode out, and I couldn't agree more with that statement. If you were to play this difficulty in a group, it would be incredibly easy for most people with any build that you're running. You could basically run anything that you want and you're going to get through it easily, whether you're a new player or not. I did say at the end of my last video they should remove this normal mode. Now, maybe I was wrong to say that based on this comment. The more options, the better, as it ultimately hurts no one to have this difficulty in the game. If players want to go in there, good for them. Now, there might be an argument that adding this difficulty will dilute the matchmaking pool, but I'd argue that if players are going in there to play solo or in a group in this normal mode, it's because they simply won't be doing another difficulty. In fact, it would be those very players that would play on challenging and struggle if they never had this normal mode there, which would ultimately make the experience more difficult for those players that are grouping up in that higher difficulty. So there is that. The last thing I saw commented was, well, I'm complaining about this stuff, why don't I offer solutions? No point complaining if you haven't got any better ideas, right? Well, firstly, I'd argue that it's not my job to make solutions. Let's not forget, all of us are the consumers of this product, and it should be massive that think of solutions to problems raised by us. With that said, I do have one suggestion. Either remove the timer if you're playing solo, not in a group, or make this a true solo experience where you cannot group, you reduce the objectives that you have to do, you reduce the amount of hunters there are, and you reduce the NPC density at extraction. Make the hunters drop more hunter keys so that if you complete a run, you get the same amount of keys as you would on a challenging completion with matchmaking. Doing either of these will allow players to use more than just a run and gun build, the same way that you would in perhaps challenging as well, and will give players the same amount of rewards. This way, players who want to go and play on solo because they don't feel like matchmaking don't also feel like they are not being rewarded for the time that they invest, because that's what it currently feels like, right? With this solo mode, it feels like you have to do so much more for so much less, and that to me is not a good solo experience. I did see a comment from someone saying that I'd moaned about not having enough solo content in the game, and now we have some. I'm still moaning and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I am, because to me, this is not a true solo experience for all the reasons that I've given in the last video I did and in this one as well. I don't want to play the same amount of content on solo. That's probably harder on solo as well, if I'm going to be rewarded a lot less. This is a looter shooter game. It's about getting loot, it's about making builds, getting bigger and stronger and getting better stuff and feeling rewarded for your time invested. Most of the time, I'm going to choose the path of least resistance, and the solo mode difficulty we have on PTS is just not that. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope I've made my points clear enough. As with any topic that I cover, I encourage you to leave your own feedback, and if there is enough comments and feedback, then I'll do a response video kind of like this one. These are the discussions needed to get the best possible experience for the widest audience. And that's so very important right now as we try our best to get the best possible version of The Division 2. Thanks very much for watching again, and until the next one, Epic out.